Ready? Hold on a second. I gotta click this off. There we go. What is... I can't keep a straight face. What is up, fellas? So guys, it's February 6th, 2014. It's the special Broncos eating humble pie. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks for devastating the Broncos in Super Bowl 48 show. I gotta give Seattle credit. I must give Seattle credit. So I'm gonna talk about this for like 5 minutes, and I'm gonna bring in Flitzanu, okay, for Flitzy. So guys, here's the thing. I love my team. I will always love my team. They did not show up last Sunday. I don't know what team that was there, but it didn't look like the team that I was watching all season long. Seattle came in there hungry. They never won a championship before. They followed their game plan. They completely dismantled the Broncos' offense. Not only did they win the game, they completely devastated the Broncos from the first few seconds of the game. And you know what? The first few seconds of the game, the Broncos did it to themselves. You know, They were nervous, and they lost 2 points in the process. They literally gave Seattle the first 2 points of the game. Yeah. So, basically, I want to tell you guys, yeah, I still love my team, just like Upstomp loves his team, the Patriots. You got other people here, like Raider Chick is a hardcore Raiders fan. Latin Lady, also a big Patriots fan. I love my team. We were embarrassed. Nah, I don't want to say embarrassed because Pain Man does not like that word. We were devastated. So anyway, that's giving props. Anyway, let's go over to my next screen. There we go. And I want to bring in my man Flitzanu, so hold on a second. We just set up that. Let me set this up. One moment, please. I'm gonna set up a Google Hangout for him. How are you guys doing? That's what I want to know. How are you guys doing tonight? Oh yeah, I don't want to use that term. I don't want to use that term, Rock, because that's what I like to use. The Bronco, like I like to say, Broncos domination. I don't like using that for any other team. That's ours. That's ours, DJ Rock, J Rock. That's ours. You know what I mean? That is ours. Hold on, I gotta bring in Flitzy in here. I gotta bring in. Okay. So Flitzy's grabbing his headphones. He should be in here in just a minute. Okay. So anyway, for people coming in the room, hey, congratulations. You missed the ultimate laughing at myself intro. I had to laugh at myself because, and I gotta take this on the chin like a man. So I hope you guys could at least respect the fact that no matter what, I still love my team. I really do. Yeah, Intruder 54 understands. But anyway, there's other things I do want to talk about. I will talk about it in my second hour when I have after. Oh, hold on. There is the special noise. You know what that special noise is? That special noise is somebody hopping into the room. So hold on a second here. Let me just bring him in. Oh, Flitz, are you there? Oh, there he is. Let me bring him in. And let me just pop that out. Yo, what is up? Wait, hold on.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
What's up, bro? Can you hear me?
How's it going, man?
Yeah, I know.
I can. I'm on delay.
Yeah, the delay is, if you look at the video, the delay's prominent. Like maybe like it could be 5 to 10 seconds. So just listen to my voice. That's how I always tell hosts. You listen to my voice and you can, catch up with the conversation and stuff. But I'm really glad to have you on. I know this isn't your usual night to be broadcasting. For those of you who do want to catch Flitzy, I'm going to put his links right in. Because I've already set this up. And everybody say hi to Flitzy. Hold on, let me just go ahead and grab his links here. We're going to talk about this at depth because I've actually been wanting to have Flitzy on my show for a long time. Here you go. So here are his links. His website is vapordie.com. I put in his Twitter handle. For those who utilize Twitter, please follow Flitzy on Twitter. I even put his Google Plus if you want to put him in one of your circles. Here is his Facebook profile. And here's his YouTube channel, which we'll delve into. And this is where you can catch him every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. on VapeTV. So anyway, first thing is first.
Correct.
Right.
Yes, sir.
First question that definitely want to ask you is, you get this question all the time. It's a rudimentary question, but for people who don't know you, please, I'm sure there's not a lot of people who don't know you, because you're one of the first shows I actually saw when I started vaping.
There's tons of them.
Well, you know what? it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be hopefully it'll be
They
less.
don't know me.
It'll be less people. It'll be more people that know you after tonight. Is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, the first question I definitely want to ask you.
And also, so
Well,
yeah, on the chat there, everybody's like, what? No, it is VapeTV, not vapors.tv.
Yeah,
There seems to be confusion with those people. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a little while, guys. But it is VapeTV.com. It is different from Vapors, Vapors.tv. VapeTV.com. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for putting in more, Lord. Okay. So anyway, first thing I do want to ask you is, it's a question I usually ask everybody. It's like, how did you, obviously you started off as a smoker or maybe you're a chew. How did you transition into vaping?
Well, that's a great question, sir. God, this delay is killing me.
Sorry, bro.
So back in the end of 2008, I happened to see an article about a pub in London that was, it's non-smoking, kind of like how most places are here now, that everything is non-smoking and you can't smoke anywhere. So this pub was giving away, or not giving away, but they were selling electronic cigarettes in the pub, so that way people could use them inside and not have to go outside to smoke. So it was helping their business because people weren't taking off every 10 minutes to go smoke. So I looked into it a little bit further and was like, hey, this is like $50. I should look into this further and try this out. But I put it off, and then eventually a friend of mine bought a smoking everywhere kit for like $200 at the mall in December of 2008. So that was when I actually first tried it. And then I bought my first kit in February of 2009. So my 5-year vape-anniversary is coming up. February 19th of this month will be 5 years.
Wow. I don't know if you guys just understood what you just said. 5 years. 5 years. Flitzy's old school.
That's 5 years. And it's funny. I am old school, and it's funny because you guys may have heard of Grim Green. Grim started before. I didn't know him at the time, but Grim started on my birthday, which was January 27th. So I just had a birthday. But so Grim had his 5 years on January 27th on my birthday, and then I actually started a month after. But totally unrelated. Didn't know him at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah,
but shout out to my buddy Grim.
Yeah, but you're actually very good friends. I mean, you stood at his wedding, didn't you? You attended. How was that?
I did. I was a Grimsman in his wedding. I coined that term.
Right. It must have been a fun weekend.
It was great. It was a circus wedding, like a vintage. Vintage circus theme. It was had jugglers and clowns, and it was good stuff. It was a lot of fun. And I'd never been to Roanoke, Virginia, so that was the first time there. And it was actually a month before VaporCon, so I ended up visiting Virginia twice in October, which I don't think will ever happen again in my life, but.
Oh yeah, because there's been whispers of them moving the coveted VaporCon, but it's not kind of set in stone, So, but anyway, I'm gonna give props to you, Flitzy, and I know I'm sorry about the delay. I usually turn off the volume myself on the way, so I don't hear myself twice. It drives me nuts. That was like a newbie mistake of mine when I first broadcasted. But giving props to you, I'm going to ask this question for people in the room.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. For people in the room, here we go. Flitzy usually says
How can I do that?
Oh, if you go into the screen in the bottom corner, you see where it has the volume button. You just click on you just right left click on it once, and it puts it on the room in mute in the bottom left corner of the video screen.
Wait, where? How can I hear you?
Oh no, you could hear me
If
through
I
the
do that,
you could
then
hear
I
me
can't
through the
hear
Google
you.
Hangout. You could hear me through the Google Hangout.
Can I start talking?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, when I click that, then you go silent. Do I have something messed up?
Uh, let's see.
Sorry, technical problems.
Um, well, what I usually do is,
That's okay.
are you sure? Because you could, you could shut off the video,
Yeah.
but then you won't be able to see. But it's okay. You could just listen to my voice, or we could just go that way. So if you shut off the video,
Listen to my voice.
yeah, just listen to a voice. But we will see you. We see you. Okay. So anyway, so guys, I'm giving props.
All right, cool.
I'm
I'll
giving,
deal with it.
Okay. So we're giving props. I'm giving props to Flitzy, and I'm gonna say this. He says this in the beginning of every one of his shows on Tuesday nights. Is what are you vaping? And what juice are you vaping on? I mean, what PV are you vaping on? And what juice are you vaping? Is that that's what you usually say?
Right. It's whose unit is in your hand and or your mouth, and whose juice is on your lips.
He says it more eloquently than I do. Much more eloquently. So while you guys are deciding what you put up, I'm gonna.
It's filthy. It's filthy. I'm sorry.
Here you go. So people are popping them up. Yeah. I'll tell you honestly, if you guys have not seen Flitzy's show, you really, really need to get in there. He's got one of the... I mean, ask Flitzy. I try to get in his show almost every week. Like, I'm there almost every week. And, it's a great show. And I'm not just saying it because he's
Thank
here.
you, sir, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not just saying it's here. Like, I've been going to his show for over a year now. That's the truth. That is the honest to God truth. So, I've been going there for a while. I'm a fan, you know. But anyway, moving on to.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So moving on to your testimonial. So you started getting into it 5 years ago, and but my next question, I guess, is just a follow up. Is how did you get it? I guess find the vaping community, like the hobbyists, I guess the hardcore group of vapers. Like, how did you stumble upon the community?
Well, and coincidentally enough, I have it sitting on my desk. The very first e-cig that I ever got was the IntelliSig Evo, and this is a 401 atomizer, which you're going to be really hard pressed to ever even find a 401 atomizer anymore. And I think it's probably dead, but I haven't charged it. But
right.
It still works. 5 years later, it still works.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll give you props. I'll use the disposable while you
I started at a place where a lot of people now hate.
Okay.
I learned about ECF.
Right.
And back when there were like 100 people. And so kind of made friends with everybody on ECF. And it's funny, like, you know, because we've kind of talked a little bit about doing the show. And I was trying to think about it. I was trying to think, like, how do I know half of these people that I know? And I met a lot of them there, and then Vapors Forum started. Spiky from New York, she had started Vapors Forum, which was kind of like the rebel outlaw version of ECF. And so I made a lot of friends there. Ended up, my first meet, I made it to, there was a Vape Fest in St. Louis in 2010. And so that's kind of when I guess I kind of cemented a lot of those friendships. Like I got to meet Grim and hang out with him,
Hmm.
hung out with Vaporcast, met Spikey, met Julie, who's part of Kasa.
Hmm.
Um, God, Steve from Pure Smoker, Bruce from Clouds of Vapor, um, the two Bobs from uh, Johnson's Creek.
Oh man, you met the people from Johnson's Creek before they blew up
Um,
with Blue. Damn.
yeah, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was one of those like it's funny now because you go to a vape meet, like Vape Fest or Vape Bash, and you're encountering hundreds and thousands of people,
Hmm.
and this was maybe 200 people at most.
Right.
And so it's very small and very personal. And so it was a really nice way to get to hang out with people. Also, I shouldn't forget, I met Rob from Alt Smoke.
Right.
Uh, this when I bought my pink Omega back when this was a thing. And
Wow. Though I haven't seen
so
one of those in
yeah,
a
so I mean, it
while.
was kind of from there. Like I met a lot of those people. Yeah. And then kind of from then on, it just kind of everything started getting bigger and bigger, and like we had Vape Fest in Philly, and then VaporCon started, and now Vape Bash is a thing, and so I mean it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and it started off as this such a small tight knit community, and what I do like the most about this is that we still have those small key members that we've been around for the since the beginning, and we're all still friends, like we're all still tight, and we I try to keep grounded because of that's what brought us all together. And as big as these things get, I still try to spend time with those people that I met early on, and then of course like I meet you, and we bring you into the fold,
Yeah.
and we bring in all these other new people, and it's just like our family just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
I never told you this story, like, but the first night where I went into VaporCon in Virginia, VaporCon 2, I'm talking about in 2012. There was a very small list of people that I really really wanted to meet, and you were like in that handful of people I wanted to meet and like actually talk to because um, we didn't really have too much of a chance to talk because every time we saw each other, we were in some kind of state of inebriation. Uh, so it was mostly like, hey, it was like we had a whole bunch of small greetings throughout the weekend. Uh, but I was actually
Yeah,
it was the
and that's
second meet
that's
I went
the
to.
that's the worst thing.
Oh
Because
yeah, go
there's so
ahead.
many people, and I always feel like I'm cutting you off because then I start talking, and then but there's so many people, like because you and I have talked about we need to sit down and chat for like 3 hours,
I
and
know.
I say this with a lot of people, like we need to sit down and talk, and then sadly it just never gets to happen because it's so busy and there's so much going on. And that's what I always tell people, like if you want to come say hi to me, come grab me and say hi, and don't hesitate to like interrupt or don't think you're bothering me, just run up and jump in the middle of my conversation and say hello, because there's never going to be a perfect moment where I'm just going to like sit down and be alone and be like, hey, I got nothing going on, let's somebody come talk to me. I mean, it's just always going to be busy.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing that I learned. I understood later on. What witnessed in VaporCon 2 was when I was still within, like my first 6 months of vaping, and that was the point of my vaping journey
Right.
where I was doing nothing but reading and trying to learn, and understand what everything was. So, the first year I wasn't really. It wasn't that I wasn't talkative. I was kind of like, there's all these vapors, these really advanced vapors out there, and going to VaporCon 2 for me, just seeing a whole bunch of people that know each other and who are in, and here's me coming in as a newbie at the time. Technically, still, I feel like I still am a newbie in a lot of ways compared to a lot of the old school vapors. Uh, it's just fascinating to see, people come together. And you have to understand, these vape meets only last 2.5 days to 3 days tops if you stay for like the Sunday brunch at the end of the weekend.
Right.
So it's very little time. So so Flitzy is,
and like in Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday night is fun night.
Thursday night. You got Thursday night.
So if you ever go to a meet, like let's say the next big one is like there's Vape Fest in DC, but then Bash is coming, which I pretty much talk. It seems like Bash is going to definitely topple 2,000 people going to that one, easy. There's going to be a ton of people going to that. Make sure you get there.
1,600 people last year, so I think 2,000.
Yeah, I think 2,000 is a low estimate. If you get there Thursday, trust me, get there Thursday. I did get my room reserved, but it depends on my move to Texas. Yeah, Flitzy, I forgot to tell you that I'm moving to Texas. I'll be closer to you.
We're out in Texas, like Dallas, Houston?
No, Houston area. So but I already talked to Courtney. About 8
hours.
I'm gonna be going to an OK meet sometime this year. So I will see you in small quarters this year. So we will have that conversation this year. This conversation will happen.
That'll be awesome.
And you could take me to where. But we've been talking about, because you tweet it every weekend. I need to check out this bar.
Yes.
I forgot the name of it offhand.
It's the best thing ever.
Wait, hold on. I'm trying to think if I remember the name of the bar. Hold on.
The Empire.
Empire. Yes, I should know that because of Keith and the Empire mod. But I definitely need, if I go to your town in Tulsa, I need to go. Right. I need to check out this bar. And then I want to take a picture outside of our. Look, I actually made it to this bar. It'll be awesome. So hopefully that will happen this year.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Right. Oh, Jen Cat's talking about the Grey Cup, the Canadian Super Bowl.
That's cool though. It's a long way. That's a big move for you.
Yeah. For me, it's a big move because my younger brother and I are sacrificing a lot to uproot our lives and move to Texas because my only surviving uncle lives there. My mom's only brother. There's a long story behind that, but we're doing it for not just ourselves, for but for a mom. It's a family thing. You guys understand. If I was married, it'd be a different story. I couldn't do it. Because I'm not, I can't do it. So, but anyway, it's not about me tonight. It's about you. But I wanted to mention that because I did not tell you that. So, yeah, that's happening. Hey, ma'am, how you doing? But anyway,
that's very cool.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I will definitely see you in an Oklahoma meet this year. It's going to happen. So, anyway, let's just delve a little bit into. I'm gonna give his links again in the room, just so you guys can follow with my line of topics here. The next thing I want to discuss is, so you started getting into the community. You started going to some of these meets. You started talking about Vape Fest St. Louis, and then obviously the first VaporCon. I don't know. Did you go to the first VaporCon?
I was at the first VaporCon, and also I see in chat someone was asking if I was the MC at the costume contest at VaporCon. Yes, that was me.
That's what I was delving into.
I made it to, let's see, I went to Vape Fest in St. Louis, and then I went to Vape Fest in Philly, and then following that was the first VaporCon. I missed Vape Bash 1, and then made it to VaporCon 2, and made it to Vape Bash 2, and VaporCon 3, and then Vape Bash 3 is coming up, so.
I'm almost thinking, Flitzy, that the first, the only two...
Which also there is going to be...
Oh, no, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say there is going to be a steampunk costume theme contest again at Vape Bash this year, so...
Did you hear that, Vash? Gothic Vash is in the room, so I hope you heard that. So it's time to go for it again, bro. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Vash is. If anybody who knows Vash, he's really
Bring it,
big into
Bash. Bring it, baby.
it. But we all know who won that one this past year. That would be LS that won that one. For those of you who are not referring, talking about Lady Strange, she won it this past year. So, yeah, but so yeah, Jen's going, Vapor Vixen's going, so is Mark. So we finally get. I finally. I don't know if you met them yet, Flitzy, but I'm finally get to meet them. Hope if I could get to Chicago.
Yeah, there's so many people and so many people change names. That's the other problem. Is like I'll know people's names on Facebook, I'll know people's names in chat and on Twitter, and then like in person, they're like, "Hey, I'm John," and I'm like, "Who the fuck are you? Like, tell me which name you go by."
Right. Oh no, Vash. Yep. Flitzy just announced that he's going to be emceeing the Steam contest again this year. Yeah, so for those of you guys who are just coming in, Flitzy's having some audio issues, so he is following my line of questioning through the actual chat window, so there's a delay between the Google Hangout that I have him in and the chat, so that's the issue. So when we're trying to do the best we can with this audio problem, so bear with us and thank you very much. So yeah, how did you start being the MC for these contests? I was curious because I saw you at VaporCon too when that was the first time I saw you, and you MC'd that, and you had a sick contest. If there's one thing you guys don't know about him, he's very good with the costumes.
Thank you, sir. It's funny, like it was brought up that because the first VaporCon was going to be right near Halloween, and so everybody's like, "Hey, we should have a Halloween costume contest." And so then a few people jokingly were like, "Dude, if he's going to be in it, then I'm not going to bother because he's just going to win." So then it was like, "Hey, why don't you host it?" And I was like, "That's a grand idea." So that way I'm not in the competition, and it felt more fair. Not that I was going to win, not that because I mean I had some shitty costumes too, but not that I would just win, but that way some people might be like, there's no way I can't go all out and do all this stuff. And so yeah, I just kind of started as that was just the thing. They're like, well, you should just host it, that way no one's going to feel intimidated or bothered. And so it just kind of went from there. And then like Sergeant Taz was like, hey, do you want to do a costume thing at Vape Bash? Sure. So now it's just it's a thing. Now we do costume contests.
Yeah, and I think it's fun. I mean, like, so I like the fact that Vape Bash has adopted steampunk ideal. So it prepares people way ahead of time. I don't know if it's going to be a yearly thing. You never know if Vape Bash is going to change it up next year. But the steampunk contest was pretty good. And we saw some elaborate costumes this past year. And then obviously VaporCon 3. The person I thought, I mean, I don't know if you can agree with me with this, but the person I thought should have won the contest came late to the costume party last VaporCon 3. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about.
The guy dressed as Jack Skellington that was wearing the stilts?
Yep. They should have won. I know those people. That's
I
AJ.
think he would have won. Yeah.
That's AJ and Bella.
It was great. Like it was. I mean, the stilts added it. Like if it was just a guy in a Jack costume, but the fact that he was on stilts, that made it. So.
I know. I felt bad that they came late because Bella, Bella, who works at Volcano e-cigs, Bella's been involved with the Volcano e-cigs company for a long time. First as a supporter, and then she eventually has a job with them. They worked so hard on that costume, and they thought, because they were going by VaporCon 2 time, because for VaporCon 2, the costume jam didn't start to almost 10 o'clock at night. So they were thinking in terms of that. It's like, as long as we get there before 10. They didn't realize it was going to start an hour earlier this past year. So I felt really bad for them. But yeah, they made such a hit and everybody loved it. And that's just part of the fun, guys. The costume jam jam at VaporCon 2 is just the tail end of it. Um, and then after that, it's just the night. It's basically a sob fest after that, honestly.
Yeah. It just gets really sad. Can you still hear me? I just logged into chat, by the way.
Oh yeah, yeah. I hear you. I hear you. Let's see. Hey, did you? Can you? If you want to. So if you put mute in the room, you can't hear me. Is that the problem in the Google Hangout chat? Is that what the problem is?
Yeah, if I mute the channel, like in the chat, then I can't hear you.
Let me see if there's an issue with.
From anything. I can't hear you.
Okay.
Like I don't hear you through the Google Hangout.
Oh, that's so weird. You know what? I'm gonna try. I'm gonna help out for just guys. Bear with me for a moment. I'm gonna try to log back into the Google. Stay right where you are, Flitzy. I'm gonna log right back into Google Hangout to see if it might help him out. Hold on a second.
Wait, I got it.
Oh, you do have it.
I found it.
Do you hear me in real time now?
It looks like I'm still delayed based on the way that my mouth is moving, but I can still hear you.
Okay, cool. Okay, but oh, so if you can hear me in the Google Hangout, try to mute the room now and see if you can still hear me.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, okay, yeah, so I've got the room muted.
Okay, and you can hear me?
Yes, I can still hear you.
Ah, sweet. So you can hear me in kind of real time now. The video's gonna look weird because you're gonna see the delay in the room, like in the video.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so we kind of solved the problem. Cool.
So much better now. I feel like I'm actually talking. I was like, I sound like an asshole because everyone's like, why is he interrupting Rich like the whole time?
It's okay.
Talking.
It's all right, man. So guys, for those who are watching the replay, this was the reason why him and I were sounding weird when we were talking to each other. Because he was going through the room.
Yeah, because it was like 10 seconds later, he would say, and then I'm like, I'm going to answer that, and then I'm like, he would start talking, and then I'm just talking over you, and I'm like, I'm a dick.
No, not at all, dude. Not at all. Tonight's about you, bro. And like, I actually set aside a lot of my giveaways in the first hour that if we went a little bit over, it's no problem. It's no problem at all.
Sweet.
So I wanted to give you free reign because I do want to cover a bunch of topics with you because it fascinates me. So
cool. Yeah, man. I literally have nothing going on tonight. So
cool.
As long as you want to hang out, then we're good.
All right. Cool. So anyway, the next thing I wanted to delve into was what came first, the website or the hosting gig?
The hosting.
Okay.
I was noticing, and like, so the website thing, and honestly, it needs a lot of work. Like, I really haven't touched it much lately, and WordPress has changed a lot of the add-ons, and so like some of my Twitter feeds that pull in like don't work right, and there's some shit that's broken that I need to fix. But it was so after hosting, I was like, because we have forums, we have plenty of websites that have a community-based sharing of information, and so what I kind of wanted to do was, and not make this world famous website. It was just more like, I need something simple that I can tell people, like if somebody's like, hey, I want to know about vaping, instead of being like, oh, you should go to ECF and you should search for this and find this keyword and like then read through 700 pages of shit. I was like, I want to put something together with just basic information and enough to kind of point people in the right direction, kind of just a home for a lot of links. And because most of the content is really not mine. It's a lot of links to other things. It's a lot of links to other people's information. I had Twitter feeds pulling from Julie and from I just totally blanked on her name. There's another lady that posts a lot of Lauren, I think it is, posts a lot of news articles on Twitter.
Right.
And so like I tried to, I had a feed that was just pulling all their stuff straight to a page, and that way, people that don't use Twitter or people that don't use any of the other things, like they could just go here and find information. And so, and then I kind of like on the back side of it, like I was adding in because we used to be back on Stickum, and so Stickum we could record shows, and so then I would post replays of my shows and like post topics and stuff like that I covered. And so so a little bit of both, a little bit of like just some, you know, standard basic information and good solid link. And then they can kind of find their way out into the big world. And plus, I mean, the URL was great because it's a great slogan. It's a great, you know, like, I was lucky to get it early on because I think now a lot of people would kill to fucking have it. So
I'm sure.
so yeah, vape or die. And so yeah, so that it was kind of it was after the fact. It was after I think I'd been hosting probably just under a year maybe, and I was like, hey, you know, I should start a website because I've had web hosting for a while, and because I'm a blogger. I for those of you that don't keep up with any of my social media, I put my life on the internet, which a lot of people have issue with, but
it's no big deal. I'm kind of like that too, bro. I think this is one thing you and I have in common.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I had, and this is not the entire reason, but at the time, back in 2005-ish, like it made sense that I had I dated this girl, and something came up, you know, in a conversation, and she's like, well, you didn't say anything about this, you know. She's like, you post everything online, but you didn't post about this, so how am I supposed to believe it because you post about everything? So then I'm like, you know what, you're right, I should just post about everything, literally everything in my life. That way there's no secrets, no one can be like, well, I didn't know that, you know. I could be like, well, go read back 7 years ago and it was there. So my life is out there, and then, you know, there's no telling me that I lied or hid information from anybody. And that's not my only reason, you know. It's like that's my interaction. Like I have a digital life and I have a real life, and so that's, you know, like I enjoy interacting with people, and so and thankfully, you know, I have enough people that interact back, and so I'm not just typing to myself. So otherwise I would look sad and pathetic. But
you know, but speaking of which, let me tell you how I first found out about you through somebody. Like, I don't mean to downplay what we're talking about because we're kind of having a lively conversation, but the person that introduced me to anything related to you was the person that made me this mod. And I'm giving her props this week. Much love, Shan. Sorry about your dad.
Yeah. Shan is amazing. I love Shan to death. I have a Shan mod somewhere that has Medusa on it. It was amazing. And I don't know exactly where it's sitting right now, but yeah, Shan is a lovely individual, and she has a lot of bad stuff happening, and that really sucks. But
yeah, but to put a light spin on it, I mean, like, I actually found Shan before I found you. So Shan posted on her site that she made you this amazing one-off mod, and I think it was the Medusa mod that you were talking about. Right. And when I saw that, I was like, I must see if I can get a custom. So that's how we were rapping. And she told me, it's like, yeah, he has a vaping show also. I'm like, he's got a vaping show too? So that's how I started going. Like, the first show I actually saw on VapeTV, guys, I don't know if you know him, is Saint. That's the first guy I ever saw. I was on a Sunday afternoon. He just happened to be on. So I met him. I met, like, Leanne. I met a bunch of other people that were there during the day. And he was playing jazz. And it was great. And then 2 days later, I saw your show for the first time. On Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock. But anyway,
I wish I knew where my Shan mod was.
Oh, that's alright. But he's...
Yeah,
I actually should have told you about that. I was going to mention how I first actually heard about you. But
yeah.
I don't know. My bad. Just so you guys know, I actually sent him some of my notes so he knows some of the topics. And that was actually one thing I didn't put in my notes because I forgot about to put it in my notes.
I usually, like, it's out of order right now because, and this is my fault. This has nothing to do with construction. I left it in my car one day when it was hot.
Oh, no.
And so some of the goo on the inside holding shit together melted.
Oh
Because
no!
it's like 140 degrees, and so it like came loose, like the battery plate came loose, and so
Right.
yeah, so I can't use it right now because it's busted. But
I know Vash thinks it's hilarious that I actually plan a little bit of my show. Yes, guys, I'm gonna delve into a little of the back office of my show. I actually do plan some of my show. Not really plan. Like I don't have it structured. Not like the news. I consider the news vape. Vape team. That's the news. There, it's very
right,
structured. But what I do is I like to take some notes so that way, like, you know, so that way I can go from topic to topic. I don't lose my footing because I don't want to.
right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because it's easy. I mean, because you can get lost. I mean, like I do the same thing. Like, I should plan things earlier, but it's usually Tuesday during the day, and I'm like, what am I going to talk about? And then, I'm just scrambling to get ideas and some nights like it, and as I'm sure you know this, like some nights go really smooth and it's
Mhm.
great and people interact and you're talking and there's no lulls, and then sometimes you're just like you're talking and you're like, I don't know what else to talk about. And
I don't think I've ever come across it where you didn't have anything to talk about. You would find something to talk about all times, and it was interesting. This is why I find, for those of guys who've never gone to Flitzy's show, 8 o'clock Tuesday night on VapeTV.com, he delves. He's one of, well, he. I would say maybe he's like the only true person that delves into like the strange, unusual, and paranormal. We have another person that did do that. Unfortunately, he passed last month, but that's JP. So
yeah,
props to JP on that. But to me, Flitzy's the original, and I'm gonna skip a little bit of my notes. But giving props to you, I actually pulled out 2 articles. I don't know if you
okay.
saw the unit. I don't know if you saw it. I gave it to you a little earlier.
I have the link. I haven't looked at them yet, but I do have the link. Yes.
I wanted to do this because I wanted to give you more props because this is the kind of stuff that you would do.
Right.
Like this isn't too recent because you're very big on the up and up of what's happened in recently. So I picked 2 subjects that I think that you'd be interested in. The first thing is a Bigfoot sighting in Pennsylvania. Hold on a second.
Right.
That link is kind of messed up. Let me fix it for you guys in the room. Here you go. So,
Oh, and Eric B. No, I cannot tell you how to fix your Nimi clone switch. Sorry.
sorry, man.
It's gonna take a real pro for that.
But anyway, this one basically, if you guys, I mean, I'm not going to delve into the whole article, but this article basically talks about there's a video that's being shown. There's a guy that was, I guess, like hiking in the woods or whatnot, and just out of nowhere what he saw in the shadows was this Bigfoot.
Right.
And it made a lot of waves a couple months ago. That's why I remember the Pennsylvania sighting, because that's close to New York. So if there's
Right.
like Bigfoot in Pennsylvania, I'm a little freaked out.
Yeah. There, and that's the thing is like, and again, because I'm sure a lot of your viewers probably are like, I don't give a shit about Bigfoot, but thing is, there are these sightings everywhere. And I mean, here in Oklahoma, there's stuff, in populated areas. There's stuff in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, and there's stuff everywhere. And so the biggest thing that I have with a lot of these videos, and you can find a lot of them on YouTube as well if you look up Bigfoot videos. There's a lot of videos, and the thing that always gets me, and the thing that throws people off, is that when people are recording these videos, whether or not they are real or they're hoaxes, they're constantly like, oh my god, what is that? What is that? What is that in the video? It's like, if you're drawing attention to it, it feels fake. If you're filming and then you're like, oh shit, and like drop the camera and run, like that would be realistic to me, because I think that's what somebody would do. They'd be like, whoa, I don't even know that, and then they would just disappear. But a lot of people are like, they're watching and they're like, oh my god, what is that? What do you think that is? And there's like multiple people and they're like, I don't know what it is. And so that's where I'm like, if they're doing and saying these things, then it feels fake to me. But there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of sightings everywhere.
Oh yeah. Well, there's one video that I saw. I'm pretty sure you saw this one, Flitzy. There's this one video where there were two hikers in the woods, I guess maybe in their 20s, and they saw something in the shells, and they just kind of looked at it. They weren't really saying anything. Okay.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, it moved and it made this grunting noise, and it kind of started moving really fast towards them. And all you saw was them. You didn't really see them like react so much as you see the camera dropping. I guess the guy was holding it, and you just heard booking sounds.
Right.
These guys were booking.
Yeah, see, like that's an honest reaction, because even if you're in the woods and you're like, maybe this is a Bigfoot, there's still a big opportunity that could be a bear. That could be something else. And even if it's not a Bigfoot, there's still going to be like, this is a big animal, and I should probably run away. And so so that's those types of reactions seem a little more realistic to me, because they're not. It doesn't seem like they're trying to draw attention to what it is. If they keep repeating it over and over, I don't know. It just, and I think it's weird. Like, I think it's one of those psychological things that where they're saying it, and it's like they're saying it to convince themselves that they're not lying, even though they know they're lying. Like, they just repeat it over and over. It's like, I don't know. So, but fun fact. The video that everyone believes is real, the Patterson-Gimlin film that was shot back in the 60s, is the second most reviewed and studied film in history. And the number one film, if any of you want to guess, even though you can't talk, but the number one researched and reviewed film is the Zapruder film of JFK getting shot.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
It's JFK and Bigfoot are the two most studied films ever, and which is insane. Like, you'd think they'd be like, it's bullshit, I don't care, it's not real, but it's so studied, and so, I mean, it's the one thing a lot of people really can't disprove. And there's been a lot of talk about the guys that did it, that one of the guys came out and was like, oh, it was me in the costume and I did this. The guy's like in his 70s now or something, and and they filmed him saying, he did it, and like they filmed him walking around, and like he's like, I was wearing this costume and blah 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 blah, but none of it matches up. Like, none of the actual kinetics of his body moving and all this stuff, like none of it matches to what was in the video, and so it didn't really prove anything. So so the debate still goes on about that video, but
it's really popular. Everybody does the little like the side movements of like walking. Anybody, I think pretty much everybody's seen that Bigfoot video.
Yeah,
it's been on TV, everything.
Yeah, and if you have not seen that video, whether or not you believe in Bigfoot, go look up the Patterson-Gimlin film on YouTube and watch it. And it's, I mean, they've enhanced it. Because they're talking, this is an old film, and again from the 60s, and so I mean it was shot on film, and so they they've blown it up. They've looked at it. They like they find muscle movement, and they've seen muscle tone and like the leg when it's walking, and the gait of the whole thing. I mean, they said this thing had to be huge. Like, if this was a person, it would have to be, a 400 or 500 pound person, and plus they would have to be like over 7 feet tall.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. So we got a couple people in here, Flitzy, asking about what's your opinion on the skinwalker.
On the skinwalkers, that's skinwalkers is a good topic. And I probably moved the book. There's I have a book called The Hunt for the Skinwalker, and it was I swear I had it sitting over here somewhere, but it was these guys bought this ranch in Utah, and apparently the owner of the ranch, the original owner, was a farmer, and they this guy moved in, and he bred Angus, like black Angus bulls, and but he sold, and it's kind of gross, but apparently like he didn't breed them, he sold semen, like he sold bull semen. And so so he bought this big ranch, and all this weird shit started happening. And like the first night he was there, and you know, like but it was everything. It wasn't just like he was seeing monsters. It wasn't like Bigfoot. It wasn't, you know, werewolf type stuff. It was all just everything. Like it was, he was seeing lights, he was seeing orbs, he was seeing UFO activity, he was seeing, you know, like ghost activity. He was seeing just everything that was happening. And but I remember, like, when I first found out about the book, like, I heard an interview with the guy, or with the author, and they were talking about it, that basically the guy's first night there, and I'll make it brief, but basically
Sure.
they move in, and they're outside, and they have a calf in a pen, you know, and so this giant dog, wolf thing, kind of saunters up to them. And, you know, as it got closer and closer, they realized it was ridiculously huge. Like, it was, you know, above their waist, like at the top of its back. Like, it was very, very tall. So, and it didn't pay attention to them, and it kind of walked over to the pen and grabbed this calf by the face. And so they're like, oh shit. So they you know, again, they're farmers and ranchers, and so they start shooting it, and didn't let go, and it wasn't bleeding, and it wasn't reacting to them shooting it at point blank range. And so finally the guy goes and gets a shotgun and shoots it, and like knocks off this chunk of flesh, and it lets go and looks at him and then walks off. And so, and they said the flesh that was there, it was black and dead and rotted and just weird, you know. And so and that was their first night there. And then from then on, it just got crazier and worse and worse and worse. And like, he would have cattle mutilations, animals would disappear. You know, they set up cameras. Like, eventually, these researchers bought the ranch because the guy moved away. Like, he couldn't deal with it anymore. So they bought this ranch. They set up cameras everywhere, all kinds of security cameras, and you know, they've been there for 10, 15 years now. But stuff will happen, and the cameras will black out. Or stuff will happen, and they can't see it. Things will be there, like the cameras will bust. Like, one of the cameras went dead, and it was like one camera could see the other camera, and it just stopped working. And like, they went over to check the camera, and the wires had been chewed through, and like, there was nothing. Like, they saw nothing on the video, and so I mean, just all kinds of weird stuff. And like, the guy,
that is weird.
Like, his dogs chased off an orb that was like flying around in their yard, and like, they followed it for like 2 miles, and eventually he heard his dog scream, and they found just a mess of like melted flesh that this thing apparently just absorbed their dogs and just disappeared. And so yeah, very, very strange stuff. So look up the Skinwalker Ranch if you want to know about the Skinwalkers. Now, of course, the title was based on, you know, there's a lot of Native American history in that area, that they were talking about the actual Skinwalkers, which were, it was supposed to be more spiritual, more magic based, and not so paranormal and, you know, Bigfooty and alien stuff like that. But it was, so they've talked like things have been happening there for, you know, centuries, based on, you know, the first peoples that were there. So, which is the actual Skinwalkers. That's more of a Native American folklore, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So basically, I wanted to touch upon, like, you have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this particular subject, and this is something that we listen to every week for those of us that go to his show, and it's interesting. It really is. So I don't understand how you can never have enough information, stuff to talk about, Flitzy. It's beyond my comprehension, because I was sitting here like a viewer. I was like, wow, I didn't know this about this Skinwalkers. Like, I heard little whispers about it, like read little snippets in articles, but hearing the whole story, I was like, like, damn.
It gets crazy. And yeah, I mean, the stuff in the book, like, they would see things like on their infrared camera, like literally they were in a hole, and this wasn't like a ghost hunters thing where they were 100 yards away and they see a blip on their infrared. It was like they're in a hole 2 feet underground, and they see something in front of them on their infrared, and they move the camera and it's not there, and it's still just sitting there looking at them. And I mean, there's just weird stuff, but they've talked like it's actually stopped happening. Like, the longer they've been there, everything that's been going on has been not happening as much. Like, it's like with people being there, it seems to be toning down. Like it's like it's just going away. But
Yeah, what's up,
yeah,
Daddy
so
Mark?
it's an interesting thing. So yeah, look up the Skinwalker Ranch. But and possession, there's actually I talked about a good story. Somebody mentioned possession just a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody mentioned a story, or not mentioned. There's a story from Gary, Indiana, that happened recently. That end of 2000, actually it may have been into 2012. That this mother was saying her 3 kids were possessed, and that they a police officer attested to it being real. Like he said he was there, and he watched this kid speak in tongues, and he watched the kid walk backwards up a wall, and like this apparently was witnessed by multiple medical experts and many people, and they eventually moved away. And but then, interesting segue to that story, Zach Bagans from Ghost Adventures bought that house like about a week ago.
What? So
Yeah.
I guess he's gonna use it in
Yeah, he's gonna camp out and research there, I guess. But yeah, so that was the most recent possession story that I heard that had kind of been making the news that because it had some very credible witnesses that were saying that they saw these things happen. And the cop was like a 30-year cop. It wasn't like an 18-year-old was like, oh yeah, I totally saw that. I mean, it was like a guy that was really genuinely freaked out about it. And so yeah, so the possession stuff, that's my scary. Like, I love scary movies, I love horror, I love anything weird and dark and whatever, but possession movies and possession stories are the ones that keep me up at night. Those are the ones where I'm like, I gotta turn on the lights, because that's
Well, when it comes to anything, like for me, I think the scariest, I guess, movie or story that I've come across in recent years that was not so much paranormal as it was realistic was um, when a stranger, when a stranger calls. I remember that movie from there was one made in the late 70s, early 80s, and then the remake was made, which it wasn't anywhere close to the original.
right,
But
right.
these words will haunted me since I was a child. Phone rings, babysitter picks up the phone, and all you hear on the other end is, "Have you checked the children?"
Right.
Oh my god! And then, you know what? If you guys haven't seen it, I'm not going to give it away. Just watch When a Stranger Calls, the original one. It is probably the most terrifying movie I think I've ever seen when I was a kid. Terrified. I saw it as a kid. My dad took me to that, not knowing how scary it was. I was up. I couldn't sleep for like a month. I couldn't sleep for a month, and my mom was so mad at my dad for taking me to that movie.
Yeah, there's some of the. I mean, because it's realistic. Like, those are the things that, like, there is a movie, and we'll get back on your topic. Sorry, but where there's a movie.
Okay, this is cool.
There's a movie called Funny Games, and originally it was a European flick, and then they remade it, and it was into an American version. But the original had I just blanked on his name now. Short British actor that's he was the general from Planet of the Apes, like the new remake of Planet of the Apes, and I totally cannot think of the guy's name, but he was also in a TV show called Lie to Me.
Oh yeah, dude! I was so sad that show got canceled. It shouldn't have been canceled. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it was a good show. But he was in this movie. But yeah, so Funny Games, it's like these people, these 2 kids, like teenagers, just break in these people's house and just torture the shit out of them. Like, that's the whole movie. And like, that's the kind of thing that could happen. It's that stuff is creepy because people are that demented to do these things. And it's the realistic side of those movies that's just unsettling, because people are that crazy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry, guys, if I might have freaked out everybody. Say hi. I'm saying hi to Sinden. Hey, Sinden. Hey, Logger Mom. Hey, for guys who are just popping in the room, welcome to the room. I have on tonight, I have Flitzanu. I affectionately call him Flitzy. He is a host currently on VapeTV. He's been a long time host. I think he's been hosting for up to 3 years now.
I think it's going on 3 years, something like that. Yeah.
Hey, Savage
Dire
Man.
Havoc. It was, yes, Tim Roth. Thank you, Dire. That's who it is. It's Tim Roth.
Yeah. But anyway, for those coming in, and this is the reason why I'm having him in is because I have a lot of respect for Flitzy. He was one of the first people that I watched on a vape show when I first started, and it was very helpful. I mean, not his entire show was not about the paranormal. Just to set things straight, it is not entirely about the strange and unusual. I mean, he does delve into vaping. He does. So I don't want you guys to be like, well, I don't want to know. I don't know why I want to listen to an hour of this. Like, no, it's interesting. It really is. You know.
Yes. And a noob vapor, you love this. Yes, I do a show on VapeTV.com on Tuesdays at 8 Eastern. So, but yeah, so I do talk about vaping, and and like you were saying, when I'm on my show, I'll talk about vaping a little bit in the beginning, and then we'll kind of move into just random news stories. But it's one of those, like, most of us that come in here, a lot of people kind of already know about vaping. Like, we don't really need to repeat the same things over and over and over. And so when people have questions, they'll tune in, or they'll chime in and they'll ask, and we'll take care of their vaping questions. And otherwise, it's just because like I don't have vaping content. Like people build coils, or people mix juice, or people do things that take up time as far as vaping goes, and like I don't really do those things, so I fill my time with other stuff.
But you know what? Here's the the lady's like, where's the booze? No, but in all honesty, I mean, like, and I wanted, and the thing is, the whole premise of my show isn't just to bring in vendors and talk about their products. I like bringing in people in the community that I personally find interesting, because I want to share it with you guys. And for those of you who don't know about these personalities that have their own shows, I really want you to see them, like, earnestly want you to see it, just because I find interesting. If I find interest in it, I want to pass it along to you guys. I mean, yeah, obviously it's my own opinion, but you know what? I like to think that, maybe you might at least give it a try, and if it's something that you might be interested in, then, because there's so many. What I'm trying to say here is there's so many interesting people in the vaping community that makes this community as widespread as it is becoming, especially in the past year. We have different kinds of people coming in who have different kinds of interests, and they show their interests. Like for me personally, I'm sure Flitzy, like for me, when people associate me, they associate me with two things. Like, oh, it's Rich, Tower Vape. He likes talking about vaping. He's friends with a lot of vendors and people in the community. They also associate me with the Denver Broncos, because I'm probably the biggest Denver Broncos fan in the entire community. I can say that.
Right.
I'm probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest. And Footsy knows, every time I go to a meet, at least one of the days at every meet, I wear a Broncos jersey.
It's
every
true.
time. So, or Broncos colors. Look, I'm wearing Broncos colors, and even though my team got devastated, I'm decked out in Broncos colors. This is how it worked today. So.
And that's the thing, like, you're a fan. I'm not a sports fan by any means, as you might have guessed, but that it's good that you're a diehard fan. Like you're sticking with your team. You're not, you didn't jump the bandwagon. You like, they lost, and you're like, well, I like another team now. Like, you're sticking with your team, like, and I can appreciate that. Even if I don't like sports,
right? I
can appreciate that.
If I would, oh God, so Snow Buddy and J Rock are like, if I was the biggest fan of the community, I would be living in Colorado. So yes, J Rock and Bunny, we got John and Jessica from Vapor. Well, not Vapor Living, but they're 5280 Vaping. You know them, Flitzy, from Vape Bash. They're big diehard fans, and they live in Colorado. Like Bert from Trippy Tips, he also lives in Colorado. I was texting I'll talk about it for a second. I was texting like. Bert from Trippy Tips, and I was texting with John Moore, like the whole time during the Super Bowl, like, oh my god, the whole time. And finally, it's like, I'm going home. 2 minutes left in the game. I can't handle this devastation anymore. So, but anyway, okay, enough about that. We'll delve into the next topic. That let's see here. This one's a little bit more serious. Like, there is a section of your website. For those who don't know, again, I'll put up the links. It's vapordie.com. This is his Vaping blog. This is Vaping blog, and I noticed you had a section for advocacy. Now I know
Yes.
there's a few things that happen. I'm going to put this up. There's a tab if you look on thevapordie.com, and he has a tab for advocacy. And, there's some information on there, and I know there's been a few things that have been happening recently in recent months, and I just wanted to know just your opinions on what's been going on. Like crazy shit's been going on in Oklahoma.
Like, because it started out, or like mid last year ish. Like, there was somebody had posted an article, and they're like, oh yeah, this Senator Johnson guy is like, he's trying to pass an 18 and over ban, which is fine. You know, like if a state or government or national whatever, if they want to pass, you got to be 18 to vape. Like, that's totally fine. Because some people confuse that issue that, you know, they add that into the other banning or the other ban policies that they're trying to put out. But it's not the 18 thing that we're against. It's they start out as that, and then like the next day they're going to be like, oh well, we made an addendum and it's another 30 pages. And so the first thing that we had to deal with in Oklahoma was they started off with a simple like 2-page thing about 18 plus, which was totally cool. And then they started adding in all of this tobacco sin tax. And if you're not familiar, sin as in sin tax, because these tobacco cigarettes get a sin tax. And you know, we have a sales tax, then they tax the tobacco, so they raise the prices. And like here in Oklahoma, it's about $6 for a pack, but I know like in New York it's like 12 or 13 bucks. So it's a little easier here to buy cigarettes, but they started wanting to add on all these taxes, and they were gonna force everyone to become a tobacconist, more or less. Like, that was the easiest way to put it, is that they would have to buy a tobacco license. They would have to only buy from a licensed Oklahoma tobacco wholesaler. Like, it was all of these restrictions about getting all these different licenses. And there were, you know, it wasn't just like one. It was like you had to have a wholesale license, you had to have a retail license, you had to have, you know, a license to sell and to have it. And like, it was basically trying to turn them into a tobacco shop. And as you know, normal shops don't have that. I mean, you know, things like cigar shops probably do, but I mean, you can buy cigarettes anywhere. And so it was putting a lot of pressure on the availability of getting e-cigs. And the other thing that they were doing is that they were trying to limit, it didn't flat out say this, but it was trying to ban internet sales, because as all of you probably know, you cannot buy tobacco cigarettes online. Like, that's an illegal thing. You can't do it. And so they were trying to include that in this Oklahoma legislation, that they were going to limit internet purchases, that they would all have to be done in person. And so they were effectively doing away with all internet buying of e-cigs, because you had to buy them from an Oklahoma licensed reseller. So it was a huge thing. And so luckily, you know, I know some of the people in Kazan, so like, you know, we talked back and forth and we got some stuff going, and like sent out letters and got the information out, and started fighting it. And so it went away. And then shortly after that, it resurfaced, and they took the whole thing and added it into another unrelated bill. And I don't remember exactly what the other bill was, but it had nothing to do with cigarettes at all. Like, it was totally something unrelated. And they tried to sneak it in and pass it again. And we're like, we just fought this like literally a week ago. I mean, it was literally like within a week that they tried to put it back in and sneak it through. And so then it got shut down again. And so and then here recently, I think it was right at Christmas.
Yeah,
was,
around between Christmas and the New Year, that your governor.
Yeah, the state governor decided like a day before Christmas that she was going to pass an executive order, which means there's no conversation, there's no, you know, town hall meeting, there's no nothing. It's, she's doing it and there's nothing you can do to stop it. She passed an executive order to ban all e-cig use on state property, and which goes in line with all smoking is banned on all state property. Now, state property includes state buildings, I mean, Capitol buildings and whatnot, but that's also all state property. Parks, anything related or owned by the state, vaping is now banned in public at all of these places. And it happened, and again, it's funny that they put these things in right when big things were going on, because it was right before Christmas. And so they tried to sneak it in, and so that way no one would notice. And but again, I mean, it was an executive order. We had nothing that we could even do about it, and so it passed. And so now we're still fighting it. We're still trying to get them to revisit it. And there's a guy named Sean Gore that is in Oklahoma City. Anyone familiar with Oklahoma? Tulsa is kind of like the second biggest city, and then Oklahoma City is the capital. And so we're about 2 hours apart. So the Capitol building and all the actual stuff is in Oklahoma City. And so Sean is in Oklahoma City, and he has even started a local advocacy group. And so they have a great number of people out there that are fighting these things. And I caught on Facebook actually today, he was at the state capitol in a hearing with them, going over, wanting to change these policies. And like, the last update I saw that he posted was that it seemed promising that they were going to get everything removed down to, as far as the new taxing legislations that they're trying to pass again, that it's been knocked down to being 18 and over and only having sales tax. Like that they're getting rid of all the other shit that they're trying to sneak in again. So we're kind of back to, we're kind of winning if everything works out the way we're hoping. Then they'll put in an 18 plus ban, which is again totally fine, and they'll leave it just as sales tax as it is right now, and not add any other sin tax or any other tobacco licenses and all that stuff. So there's been a lot going on in Oklahoma, and I mean, and that's it's weird because it's like, we're Oklahoma, like we're not the epitome of national legislation or national role models of how the world should run. Like they're not hitting big cities like New York or like LA, or they're not hitting places that everybody knows about, because people are like, where is Oklahoma? Like people can't even put Oklahoma on a map. And so it's weird that they're picking such a small rural state that where they're trying to push this. And so the idea is that if they can get it passed here, because really all they need to do is pass it once, and now they have a precedent. Because if they get all this in place in one area, in one state, then every other state can then use that as an example and say, oh, well, we did it in Oklahoma, so we should do that here. And so that's the big thing. I mean, that's, because a lot of people, they always wonder, like, well, why does everybody post about all this activism stuff, and why does everybody want to get involved? And that's really the thing, is that we have to stop it when it's starting, because if it happens in one place, it's going to happen somewhere else. And so, we have to stay vigilant, we have to stay active, and we have to quell all of these things before they ever happen. As Vaping Dave is saying, it's a domino effect that once it happens somewhere, then they're gonna use that as an example. They're using it as a precedent that it happened in this state, so we should do it in other places. So, but yeah, we've been under heavy attack for like a year. I mean, it's just been back and forth and just on and on and on. And but like I said, luckily, because I'm 2 hours away from the Capitol, and so luckily, there's a good solid group of people in Oklahoma City that are dealing with this on a daily basis and in a personal basis. Like they're literally there and they're fighting it in person. They're at the Capitol Hill and they're discussing it with the senators, and they're discussing it with people that are in control. And so, so it's just a mess. But I mean, it's true. Like you were saying, it's blown up. Like it started off with the FDA seizing things in 2009, and then that got shut down, and then it's moved into all these states that are passing bills and trying to pass laws, and there's a lot of conjecture about it's big tobacco, because tobacco is losing money, and again, we're not a majority. I may or may not be the only vapor that's going to say this, but we're not really the cause for tobacco losing a lot of money, because we're a very small amount of people. regardless of how many people we think we have, we're the small portion of tobacco losing money.
I agree. You know what, Flitzy? I think that um, I think what people are afraid of is the unknown. That's my
Right,
opinion on it. I think that they're afraid that it could turn into the eventual replacement of the cigarette, and which
right,
is what we actually all hope so. I mean, actually, you know what? To be honest with you, I've said this in more than one occasion. Our generation, Flitzy, like our generation, like the generation that's coming in, and people, and the generation just above us who are, like senior citizens, our
right.
generation that are still, that were smokers at one time, became vapors. What I would like to see in the future is if people really need, get addicted to nicotine, that there is a safe alternative, which is vaping. And everybody in this room that's in this room can all agree to that. What I
Right.
would like to eventually see is down the line, that vaping becomes just like, like kind of like having a drink, but without the alcohol. Like
Right.
eventually, for our descendants, they'll look at this as just kind of like a social thing. No nicotine in it at all. Um,
Right.
so it's almost like, in a sense, I look at it as hopefully we could phase out nicotine addiction worldwide.
Yeah.
That's how I view it. Like when you want to really look at the big picture, and if people
Yeah.
want to vape, vaping is fun. It's cool for people right now who have smoked. But in the future, I mean, there will still be a market for it in a social aspect without the nicotine. That's what I hope that the level we can get to. So that when we
Yeah.
get to that level, nobody can touch us at that point.
Right. And I mean, and I think that, it's a big prediction, but I mean, I think within 20 years, and 20 years is not a lot of time, but I mean, I think within 20 years we could be at a point where we don't have tobacco cigarettes anymore. I mean, it's with the exponential growth that vaping has gone through in the past 2 years, even, and even just the past year, that we could get to a point where we don't need tobacco cigarettes anymore. That people can still they can feed their addiction, and they can feed their social habits, and these people that have smoked for 60 years of their life, they can feed those hand to mouth addictions, and they can deal with that without having to have combustible tobacco. And so I don't necessarily think big tobacco is against vaping. I think big tobacco is going to be well aware that they can adjust with it. It's, to me, it's still pharmaceutical, because, and I posted this on Facebook, I think earlier, with somebody else talking about this, that,
Mm,
and this sounds offensive, and I'm sorry to any of you that are affected by this, but if we don't have lung cancer anymore, then the medical field and pharmaceutical field doesn't get money to treat cancer. And that's a big thing. And it's kind of a scary thing that, to say, well, they don't want to cure cancer because there's more money in trying to treat cancer than there is in curing cancer. And it's a sad fact, and it is possibly a little bit conspiratorial, but it's true. There's more money in fixing things than there is in curing things. And so if we do away with tobacco-related cancer, then that's a huge amount of money that pharmaceutical and medical is not going to have. I mean, can just health insurance alone, because people have to pay a higher premium if they're a smoker, because they're at a higher risk of getting cancer, and therefore they would
mm.
end up spending more money on treatment, and et cetera, et cetera. So if we do away with that, then that's a lot of money that people stand to not be making.
Yeah, that would mean like a lot. And you know what? A good example of that, I'm not necessarily talking about cancer, but talking about disease. If you really want to follow a movie that recently came out that delved into how secretive our society really is when it comes to wanting to cure something,
Right.
rather than pawning off something that doesn't work, watch the Dallas Buyers Club. You know what movie I'm talking about, right? Like,
I,
it's that
I think
guy
I've
in
heard
the
of it.
'80s. It's a guy in the '80s that who was told in the mid '80s that he had AIDS, late stage AIDS, and that he had 30 somewhat days to live, and he
Yeah.
found better working drugs from Mexico, and then he
Uh huh.
developed an international he basically became a big wholesaler and buying up these drugs from different areas of the world, like Sweden,
Wow.
Norway, Mexico, and eventually he was treating a lot of AIDS patients in Dallas, and then it became a nationwide syndicate. The FDA kind of turned their heads for a while, but then when they
Right.
finally saw how much money he was making, they shut it down. But he lived,
Wow.
instead of 30 plus days, he lived an additional 6 years off of
Oh,
his
wow.
discoveries.
It's
And that's,
crazy.
yeah, that's the movie that Matthew McConaughey just started. This just came out recently, um, past couple months. So that's just an example of what is going on and the reality of what's going on. Treating as opposed to curing.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, it's, if you have to go to the doctor 3 times a week to be treated for any disease, then, you're paying money, you're giving money to pharmaceutical, you're giving money to the medical field, and if we did away with that, then that's a lot of money that people aren't going to be making. And it's a very sad thing. And again, it doesn't just relate to cancer. I mean, it relates to just about any other major disease that, it seems that we fight these things for years and years and years and years and years, and there still doesn't seem to be any cure in sight for any of these very deadly diseases. And I say deadly, these
Mm-hmm.
diseases that are going to keep people alive and in pain and suffering for a long period of time, usually, and they have to go through treatment during those rough times of their life. And if they didn't catch those, then they wouldn't be spending any of that money on treatment. And so yeah, I mean, it's a scary fact that there's so much more money to be made in treatment than there is in curing. Hello,
Right.
Lady Strange.
Gee, you're late. You're late. no, but no, but yeah. And I know, guys, we've jumped from topic to topic tonight, but like I said, I have a lot of respect for Flitzy, and he has a wealth of information. There's one thing that's one thing I've always respected about it. There's something that you're into, you delve in it wholeheartedly. You don't half-ass it, and it's beneficial to any of the people that you share your information with every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock on Vape TV. Again, let me put in the links here, guys. No, I'm not cutting off Flitzy for you guys who are wondering. I'm not, but I do have a half an hour left, and I want to touch about a couple other things before I go. I'm keeping them on a little bit longer just because, um, you know, I mean, I pretty much talked about everything I wanted to talk about, but I kind of like having them on because it's kind of cool.
Cool.
Because this is my one time to have them on for I don't know how long, and hopefully I'll see you. Yes, Kobe, Rich is lonely. No, it's just no. You know what it is? Here's the thing: certain people I love to have on my show, and you get a good rapport with, and you get good content and good information from, which just happens to be one of them. And I just want you to know that don't, and I'm saying this to everybody. This is a general thing within the vaping community and all the channels that we have up. Don't look at the channels and the shows that you watch based on one network. Look at it as in like look around, hop around. Vape TV is in house. Just to let you know, you won't find Vape TV here, but Vape TV is in house. And here is the specific link to it. So you have to create an account on Vape TV, and then when you do, they have a link there that opens up its own chat window. They have their own chat window, their own interface. So just because they're not up here doesn't mean you can't catch them. And please spread the word on that because Flitzy's one of those few people that's in on Vape TV that is definitely worth watching. And tonight you guys definitely saw a sampling of why I think that he's one of the best hosts out there. Literally, and I wholeheartedly saying that
Thank you, thank you.
yeah, being like seeing his shows on and off for the past year or so, because I've been going to shows for over a year now, and this is honestly how I feel. It's my personal opinions, and obviously people are like, well, I don't know if I want to hear paranormal stuff, but as you can see, he's very educated when it comes to what's going on in the vaping world, advocacy. He's comfortable with the devices. You won't see him sub-ohming as much as some other people because sub-ohm isn't the end all to everything. If you're comfortable with the way you like to vape, by all means go that route. You know. Like, for example, here's a quick question for you, Flitzy. What is your preferred method of vaping?
Currently, I have been using, and I flashed this earlier. This is actually Shan. Speaking of Shan, she built this. This is my NES DNA 20 mod,
Mm-hmm.
and as soon as I got this DNA 20, like I love the DNA 20. I've been a 6-volt vapor for years. Like I do high voltage, and
Mm-hmm.
my vaping setup is, and also the people haven't seen this either. Sorry, this is a gooseneck. This is made by Totally Twisted Texas E-Liquid,
Right. That's the 6-inch one, right?
ttteliquid.com. Yes.
Right.
This is a gooseneck. It's basically just a flexible extension, and it screws into your device, and then your atomizer goes on top. And but I've been a 6-volt vapor forever, and so my standard setup is I use regular atomizers, just plain. Well, I prefer Cisco atomizers,
Okay.
but I use 2.4 2.4 ohm 2.4 ohm standard 510 atomizers, and but I run them at high voltage. So for those of you in watts, that's around 15 watts is about what I do. 6 volts is with the 2.4 ohm is about 15 watts unloaded. So under load it drops down a little bit, but so that's my thing, is I tend to like high voltage vaping. But yeah, so mentioning the sub ohm thing, I mean, everybody, that's the thing now. Everybody loves the sub ohm thing. I've been trying it, and I don't get the same satisfaction. Like I don't get anything from it. Like I don't know. I don't know what it is. I mean, people love it, and that's totally fine. Like you said, I mean, people love it, and that's amazing. Whatever works for you is the best thing that you can vape. But it doesn't do it for me. And I also I vape 24 milligram juice. That was another thing. I started at 10 whenever I first started vaping.
Mm-hmm.
Started about 10 milligram. Not because, and like I didn't go up because of need. It was because of throat hit. Like I enjoy the satisfaction when I'm vaping. I need to feel every inch of it running down my body, and lower milligram nicotine just doesn't do that to me anymore. And so, after it was a while, I was like, well, I'm going to raise this a little bit. Like, I'd raise it a little bit here and there, and eventually, I've been at 24 for, I don't know, like a year and a half now. And but it feels good. Like I don't feel the need to go any higher. But like, and yeah, and see people like do all PG. Like,
I know people are like freaking out of the room because they're like, people usually go down, and you hear
right.
it. You actually hear about a vapor that went up.
Yeah,
And people are
like,
completely freaking out. Like, what?
and yeah, and it's not even, it's not. And of course, people that are addicted are always going to say this, but like, it's not the addiction. It's not like I need more nicotine. I don't wake up thinking, oh my God, I got to vape 24 because I have to get my fix. Like I vape because I enjoy it. And like, I'll go days, like I don't vape at work. Like, I'll go 10 or 11 hours during the first part of the day, and I don't ever vape, and I'll vape when I get home. And, or like if I'm sick, and I don't vape for 2 days or something, like it's not a big deal. And, I don't wake up craving nicotine anymore. But when I'm vaping, I want to feel it. Like I want to have that nicotine. And so, because people have given me samples, like people bring stuff to our local meets, and they'll bring in like 8s and 12s and like, oh, dude, try this, or 0, and I don't feel like I'm vaping anything. It just feels like I'm breathing. When I try to inhale it, I'm just like, where is it? And they're like, oh, there it is. Like then it comes out. I'm like, I guess I am vaping, but like I have to feel everything on the inhale. And so but yeah, so I'm kind of the oddball, that I started really low and I eventually went back up. And but back then though, when I started at 10, I mean, even the thought of trying like 16 or 18, like crazy, couldn't do it. Like it would, I had to slowly build my tolerance. And because some people feel like they don't really have a tolerance level, where it's like they try it and it's too high, they have to go down. But you can build your tolerance. And because I started a little bit at a time here and there, and when I started raising it, I had to vape less. But eventually, like I built up my tolerance to 24. And a big thing also for Vape Bash, for any of you going that have never been to a big vape meet, you're going to be vaping all day for 2 days. So a lot of people will recommend, this is an early fun fact and helpful tip, that bring juice that's less than what you normally vape, because you're going to be vaping all day and you're going to get overnicked and you're going to feel sick. So, but yeah, so even going to vape meets and stuff, I still vape 24 all day. But yeah, CPA vapor, like I think somebody had mentioned doing all PG, and I've done all PG, and it's not the same even at lower nicotine levels. And like the sub-ohm stuff, I've tried 24 milligram nicotine, and I've tried half my nicotine. I mean, I've tried just about every combination that I could with the sub-ohm build, and it doesn't do it for me. Like, I don't get the same sensation. It's too airy is really the big thing, is that most of the RBAs, the draw is really open and really airy. And I like tight, warm vapor, and most RBAs are just big and open and like just fill up your lungs and you breathe it out. And it just, it's not the same for me. But
right, I hear.
But again, I respect if you do RBAs and you're a cloud chaser, totally fine. I might make fun of you, but I'll do it to your face. I won't do it behind your back. I'll call you a cloud chaser. But no, I mean, like I said, whatever works for you as far as your vaping life, then that's amazing. That's the best thing that you can do. And no one, well, they might. I will never tell you any differently. And if somebody does, you tell them to talk to me, and I'll tell them to fuck off, because whatever you do is the best thing. So.
Yeah, and like one thing I wanted to reiterate on what you said on Vape Bash when you go to Big Meat, please drink a lot. And don't worry about if you have to hit the can like 3 or 4 times in one afternoon. It's okay. Better to be hydrated, because next thing you know, you're going to start feeling really weird and really strange. And you're wondering why. You know why? Because you're vaping all day long. Yes, and when you're at meets, you will vape more. Yeah. It's just a given because you're amongst your people. It's like you go to a vape meet and you're like, I'm home. That's how I feel every time I go to a vape meet. I'm home.
It's true. You walk in, you're like, this is 1,600 of my closest friends in the world. And it's amazing.
Bring a meet. There is a meet, Kobe. It's every fall. The Vegas Vape Fest is on September, and also there's ECCT. There's ECC, which is in California around the same time. But anyway, before we let you go, Flitzy, I have the blatant rip-off James Lipton Inside Actor Studio quiz for you. Okay. Are you ready for these questions before I let you go for the evening?
Let me take a sip and we'll do this.
Okay. And yeah, VCCT is next week. Yes, that's in Tampa. But that's more of a trade show more than a vape meet. Vape Bash is big time vape meet all the way. Imagine all these tables in one big huge room. I mean, well, no, they had to take 2 rooms, 2 wedding size rooms with 52 tables surrounding. Well, I think it was 45 last year, but this year I heard that the number could be up to 52. 52 tables surrounding you with a DJ playing music all day long. We almost have to yell to talk to people during the day. Imagine that.
Chi-Town DJ. Chi-Town DJ is bringing the magic.
Yeah, imagine that. So, okay, here we go.
All right. I'm ready, sir.
Here we go. What is your favorite non-curse word?
Wow. That's a really good question. My favorite non-curse word.
I could give you mine. I'll give you mine to maybe give you some ideas. Mine is ubiquitous. Just because it's so cool to say. Ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous is a very good word. Oh, wow. It's similar. I have a favorite word tattooed on my arm. That's it doesn't mean quite the same thing, but it has some Q's and U's in it. But okay. I think one of my favorite words is iniquity.
Nice.
That or hubris. I also have hubris.
Cool.
That's another good word.
And what is your least favorite word?
My least favorite word. I don't know that I have a least favorite word. I have I have words that people pronounce incorrectly
Okay.
that are annoying. But I will say right now, actually, my least favorite word is more of a phrase, and it's all of the sudden, because that isn't a word. That's not a real thing. You should say suddenly, because all of the sudden is not grammatically correct. So
Yeah,
anyone,
it's more of like if anything, it's more like slang more than actual English. So
yes. So everyone, please stop saying all of a sudden, because it's not a real. It's grammatically horrible and it's not right. Just say suddenly, because that's what it means.
okay, here we go. What turns you on?
Um, a girl with a nice ass,
Nice.
uh, intelligence, red hair. I'm a sucker for red hair and green eyes. That's a bad thing for me. I think like 5 of my last girlfriends have all been redheads, and
Well,
it's
delving on that little subject, have you ever considered going to UK Vape? I mean, going to Vape Fest Ireland? It happens in the fall.
it's funny. Like you met. Do you remember Gary from London? That he came out, like he was living in Australia and he came to VaporCon last
Uh
year,
huh.
and he came this year again.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Kind of he has a cane, very Cockney accent.
Uh huh.
He's our other Brit. We have BSP, and then we have Gary as well. But
Right.
Gary is moving. He lives in Australia, but he's moving back to London, and so I'm gonna go visit. He's like, dude, we'll go everywhere. So
Oh
that's my
no!
goal. Like I may go to like Ireland or something and find a billion hot redhead women and
And
never
just
want
never
to leave.
leave.
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of scared of that, but yeah. So red hair, green eyes, nice ass, intelligent, and young. Like not creepy young, not creepy young, but
Like childbearing young.
right.
Okay.
Like 22, 23.
Okay. Okay, well, on the other side, let's flip it over to the other side. What turns you off?
Oh, aside from people saying all of the sudden, um, I I wouldn't say I think it's ignorance. If it's not people, because people can be dumb, and that's it sounds offensive, but it's okay if you're a dumb person and you're not very smart, you don't know whatever. But being ignorant and being in a position to where you're like, I'm not going to try to better myself. I'm not going to try to better my intelligence. I'm not going to try to learn new things. Where I'm just going to be ignorant my entire life, and I'm never going to try to, like, kind of like how people. Because I know everybody works with someone that's like this, that
Right.
you have the same person that asks you the same question every day. And every day you're like, are you kidding? Like, I tell you this every day. Like, can you not take the initiative to learn something? Like that, I guess that's kind of my thing, is that if someone is ignorant and they don't want to try to learn something better. And which again, this is nothing to do with like IQ or intelligence level or anything like that. This is simply that someone just refuses to take the time to learn something new or to better themselves.
I think that's a very good answer, man. Awesome. Here we go. What sound do you love?
What sound do I love?
It's okay, I have the parental advisor here. You could be as honest as you want. If you want to delve in that realm.
Oh, God.
But it's up to you.
Yeah, my mind is just racing right now. I don't know that it even matters what words that are, but I think that low sultry whisper of girl in your ear, just with anything that they're saying, that's usually where you're like that's probably the sound for me.
Oh yeah, zang on
the,
that, man.
the raspy whisper,
Right.
yes, yes. Yeah.
I'm with you. Okay, what sound do you hate?
What sound do I hate? Currently, I hate the sound that my cat makes when I try to sleep. My cat is a screamer.
During the 3 o'clock witching hour.
Yeah. My cat screams, and it's a tomcat, and he screams like he's outside. Like if you would picture a tomcat alone outside on a fence, doing that like that thing. That's what my cat does all night. So currently, that's the sound that I think I hate the most.
Oh, gosh. Okay, and what is your favorite curse word?
Wow. That's such a... Oh, I did get him neutered, by the way, a new vapor. And vaping Chippy, I'm doing nothing but trying to sleep. That's all I'm doing to this cat.
Okay, what's your favorite one right now?
See, I'm very partial to the word cunt. And a lot of people don't like that word.
It's okay. It's okay.
Because girls are like, oh, that's horrible.
It's like the worst that you can call women, yeah.
Yeah, like, why would you say that word? But it's so much fun. Like, when it's used out of context, like, and not in the way of, like, that girl is a cunt. Like, not that, because that's, but it's like, if you use it in a fun way or something, like, in the way that Australians use it, or in the way that Europeans
Brits,
use it,
yeah,
because it's not filthy. It's not a filthy word, but to them it's more like saying fuck, or more like saying bitch, or shitty, or like this device is cunty. It's like it doesn't mean that it means that it sucks. But the other one, I would say that, and the other, my current favorite is fuck all. Because fuck all means nothing, and a lot of people don't realize that. But it's just a fun word to say, because then people are like, what does that mean? Like,
so sit there for a minute. I hear you, man. All right, let's get to the next one.
A lot of people hate the word cunt. A lot of people now are like, oh my god, this guy just said the C word.
So it happens. We're in American society. If we were saying this in a UK show, people are like, yeah, I understood, and we'll move on. Okay. Right. What profession other than yours would you like to attempt?
Oh God, I think my ideal profession, and I get this idea from watching Johnny Depp in movies when he's a writer. Also because Johnny Depp seems like he'd have a great life because he's Johnny Depp. But I would like being a writer, like a novelist, to where I could wake up and wear a robe and drink coffee and gin and vodka and just be drunk and type on an old shitty typewriter all the time. And like, I don't want to be like a world famous rich author. I would just like to be an author and like make enough money to live and just do something that I enjoy. And cool. But I think that would be a good thing. Either that or like some kind of research, like traveling the world and studying and researching things.
I think you'd actually be very good at that, man, to be honest with you.
Yes, thank you. But yes, I think that would be a good calling.
You'd bring a lot of passion into that, so there's no doubt you'd be good at it. Now, on the flip side, what possession would you not want to do?
There was a time that I kind of wanted to get into psychology, and which the whole idea of it's fascinating because like I said, I enjoy interacting with people, and I enjoy I'm kind of a button pusher, and for those of you that get to know me really well and we argue and debate, like I push buttons a lot, and because to me I think emotional reactions are a little more honest than intellectual reactions to things. And so kind of like when you're drunk, that when someone's drunk they're more honest because they have no filter. But so I kind of wanted to get into psychology for a while. I was like, that'd be cool. And then but then you really start thinking about all the sad, crazy bullshit that you would have to deal with every day in and day out, and like how draining that would have to be on a person, to go through listening to so many horrible things that are going on in someone's life all the time. And like, it just seems like that would be so emotionally just murderous to you. Like I feel like it would just kill me as a person on the inside. Okay. But so I mean, like, it seemed like you know, like it seemed like it'd be awesome, you know, and you get to help people, and you know, it'd be really cool. But then you're like, that's got to be so depressing. So I respect people that do that, because it has to be tiring.
No, I hear you. Let's see here. The last question for you, Flitzy, is if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates? That's only, I mean, put in your own like religious, beliefs aside. If it just exists,
I I would like to hear an apology for making me wrong. for for those of you that are unaware, I have issues with braking very easily. I was recently in a car incident, and I got a fractured sternum, and also turns out I fractured a vertebrae. And so I'm now just in pain constantly because of all this stuff. But I break very easily. I get injured very easily when it comes to like skeletal damage. And so, like I think like, man, I'd love to be like Wolverine. I'd love to have like metal bones, that'd be awesome. But then I'm like, you know what would be great? If I had normal bones. Like if I just had normal strength bones for now, I think that would be okay. So, there's a movie called Unbreakable, for those of you that have seen Unbreakable.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, yeah, Record just mentioned it. Samuel Jackson had osteogenesis imperfecta, is what his disease was called. And it's a real thing. And my brother, I have an older brother that actually has osteogenesis imperfecta. And he's broken each of his arms about 13 times a piece. And he's also broken his legs, he's broken his back. Like, he's just horribly in pain and just bad. And so it's not really determined that I also have the same affliction, but I tend to hurt really easily. And so so that would be my thing. I would be like, God, did you forget? Like, did you forget the marker in my bone protein stuff to make me normal? So that would probably be my first. That's what I want to hear. I'd want to hear like, dude, I know we screwed up your body, and I'm sorry. I should have spent more time making you a little stronger, but you were a rush job. We had to get you out, so sorry. That's what I want to hear.
Cool, guys. I gotta give props to you. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, man. I'm gonna spend the last 6 minutes just rolling out some of my giveaways. I don't need to have you in for it because that's kind of boring. But cool. Before I go, again, I really want to stress this. Please, 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 I stress, if you guys are interested in like seeing Flitzy on a weekly basis, please, I earnestly ask you, give his show a shot. You would really love it. His show is on VapeTV Live. You look at the last link, click on the last link. Make sure you make an account on VapeTV. And then you can click on that link. It opens up a video and chat window, and you can take advantage of their show. They also have a schedule of all of their shows on Vape TV. Give props to Lou. Give Son of Lou my love. Let's see. And obviously, there's other shows coming up. Like, for example, on Tuesday night, I'm going to say this. I mean, like, she's not in the room, but Bug's coming back next week.
Nice.
Yep,
nice.
She's coming back next week. I think she's doing the 11 o'clock slot next. She's another old school vapor because she was tweeting it this week. I don't know if you saw her tweets this week. But
I've been out of the loop a bit.
Okay.
So yeah.
But anyway.
Cool.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's another person. That's actually another person I want to bring into the show eventually, so you guys know who Bug is. So I know cool. The people are like, who the hell are these people? And people Rich keeps bringing in, but I'm telling you, these are interesting people to me. And if I find Rich, maybe you'll find them interesting too. So,
yes.
Yo, thanks a lot, Flitzy. This is actually the longest conversation I had with you ever.
It's true. I was looking forward to this just because we got to talk and no one can interrupt us. Like, no one can walk out and be like, hey, guys. You'd be like, fuck off. We're talking right now. Like, I'm having a conversation with Rich.
Right. But
thank you so much. Like, it's been awesome. Like, it's great. And, yes, it's always a pleasure. I'm glad that we got to actually talk. And I have to do it again soon.
Definitely.
And yes, and Vape Bash. Vape Bash is, a thing. And again, Steampunk Costume Contest. I will be the MC of the costume contest again this year. So that's happening. So hope to see you guys there. And thank you again, man. It's always a pleasure. And
Yeah,
everybody new that I met tonight, awesome. Thank you guys for hanging out and sticking it out and not leaving. It's very
yeah.
cool. So yeah, so come check out my show. No vulgarity is not necessary.
Here it is
So
again. Boom. All right. Well,
I'm
thank you
sorry.
so much, brother. Much love, bro. I'll see you next Tuesday.
All right, man.
All
Take
right.
care, everybody.
Peace, bro. Have a good evening.
You too, man.
Okay. Good night. Okay. He's gone. Look, it's gone. Look, it's like nighttime there now. Look. Okay. So, guys, this is what I was doing during the last like 10 minutes or so. I was picking out people in the audience that thought were kind of cool because it kind of rushed. I wanted to rush through a little bit. I didn't want to rush too much, and I wanted to give what I thought was pretty cool people. Um, we're gonna do Vapor Joe's right now, real fast. Basically, right now, what's going on with Vapor Joe is I want you to take a look. Here's information on his Android app, right here. Here it is. Here's information on his Blake from Guide to Vaping did an article on his Android app. Oh, thanks, Latin lady. And here's information on Vapor Joe's. Here's his stuff. I mean, you know him. This week he is giving away a Sentinel like a replica mod. A Sentinel. So first two don't count. The third one counts. Yeah, that's his Android app. So definitely, if you have an Android device, boom. Yep, there it is. There it is, Chuck. Oh, I don't know. Okay, so anyway, first two don't count. The third one counts. Are you guys ready? And the winner of the Sentinel replica clone is Vapor Tweak. Oh wait, hold on. You might have won tonight. If you'd won tonight, you can't. I can't give you the win. Hold on. I'm just double checking. Looks like it's yours. Looks like it's yours, man. All right. Cool. Congratulations. Now I picked winners for the following things. Okay, guys. I've already picked winners for the last two giveaways, and I based this off. I just based this off who I think was paying attention in the room, and I wasn't. I'm not saying I picked everybody that was paying attention in the room, but I was reading through some of the. I was reading through some, and I thought that some of you guys were helpful, even though I couldn't touch all of your questions. I did. A second here. So I'm going to announce these winners. Okay, so for Vaping Masters, get ready to put in the last two digits of your zip code. Newport Richie. Are you in the room, Newport Richie? If you are, give me the last two digits of your zip code. Newport Richie, Latin Lady Vaping, and Fire King. Okay, 54 for Newport Richie, Latin Lady Vaping. I picked you, and I picked Fire King. So 22 for Latin Lady Vaping, and for Fire King is 03. You guys won. I gave you each a bottle of Vaping Masters. Basically, they're guys out of South Carolina. These are great people, Bill and Maxie. And the last winner that I picked was Mud Sharks FZ. If you're in the room, Mud Sharks FZ, give me the last two digits of zip code. You've won tonight a $15 gift certificate from Timeless Vapor. That's my girl, Mandy. So Mud Sharks FZ. If you're in the room, give me the last two digits of your zip code, because I really gotta go. And give the room to Eagle Mama and Pandora, because I don't want to take their space. So anyway, guys, thank you so much tonight. I will give more information on my sponsors later on. Please stay in the room, because Eagle Mama and Pandora are coming up right now. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having Flitzy on again. You guys are awesome. Much love to all of you. Hey, even though they lost, still, go Broncos. Peace.